I am Charlotte Merritt. I am in the Creative Writing Bachelor's of Fine Arts program, and I am here interviewing Tom Lucas,
Yes,
published author of
indeed.
Letter to the Corinthians and instructor here at Wholesale.
Yes, in the creative writing program, BFA.
Alright, let's just get right into the thick of it.
Okay.
What do you see as the role of visual arts in society today?
Well, we've become definitely a visually driven world, with media being what it is. In the 21st century, pretty much images are what drive most people's interest. 100 years ago, images were kind of rare, um, and written content and other types of media were probably a lot more important. But we're a visual world now.
So, how do these new visual technologies apply in your writing, in your profession?
Oh, well, in my profession, well, in the creative writing for entertainment program, it's all about writing for you know, visual media, whether it's film, TV, comic books. As a novelist, and I think many of the students do have books within them. There is still the book format, but that's changing too. There's a lot of interesting things happening there in terms of multimedia and things of that nature. But for writers that are seeking to work in entertainment, uh, visuals are everything. It's the vast bulk of what our students and what writers are working towards today, at least in the entertainment field.
So you're saying authors almost have to be able to morph their work into any kind of media.
Yeah, you really need to be able to write to multiple formats at this point. And then also, if you look at something that began as strictly written material, and I love using Game of Thrones as an example because it's very contemporary, it's very popular. But in the books, George Martin constantly describes with almost painful detail what everyone is wearing. He spends a lot less time describing the landscape and sort of the set pieces, but he spends a lot of time on the things that are very immediate. And I think that as he was writing it, he was very conscious about visual media and how his story may one day be presented visually, and he wanted to give people a lot of information in terms of his intent. So I think that even if you are a novelist, a story writer, prose, that sort of thing, I think in the 21st century, I think writers may subconsciously and consciously write to visual media.
Awesome. On that note, new communications and media technology make make imagery almost instantly available.
Yeah.
Do you believe that this is having a positive or negative influence on readers?
Well, it's wishy-washy to say, but yeah, there's positives and negatives. The positives are that um, when something gets out there, and if it has any kind of visual material to support it, it gets distributed really quickly. People don't, like on Facebook, I don't see people say, hey, here's a 10,000 word story, please read it. But if you post a picture of something, a lot of times you might get people to click on the link because the image will capture their interest. The other side of it, like the industry side of it, is I guess the most recent example is Kevin Smith basically leaked out that he had seen the new bat suit
Okay.
and how incredible the bat suit
All right.
was, right? So for the Ben Affleck Batman Superman movie, and immediately there was a lot of conjecture,
Okay.
right, about what the suit would look like. To me, like that kind of thing, I understand that it builds buzz for a project, and that's cool. But I feel like you're really building towards disappointment
Okay.
because Kevin Smith's like the ultimate fanboy. If he says this suit is incredible, and it doesn't look incredible to you when you finally see it, and chances are, with the level of expectation raised that high, you're going to feel at least a little bit of disappointment. I think that it could be kind of a negative,
Okay.
towards how the work will be perceived in the long run. So,
Alright.
immediacy is a good thing in terms of getting the word out, but can be a bad thing in terms of building expectations. And then also it kind of spoils us too, because we don't really have to work as hard
Definitely.
to create things for ourselves. So, yeah, I'd say there's a positive, negative to it, without a doubt.
Alright. So, what popular images do you see repeated throughout publications and written works?
Okay, well, again, because the focus is writing for entertainment, the kind of things that I see are what I would consider kind of, to be honest, I see a lot of negative stereotypes. I see, really exaggerated female forms. I think that as you see it a lot in cosplay and a lot in comics and other things where women aren't dressed realistically or appropriately, and I think that that's something that is prevailing and has existed for a long time, and I think it's really very unimaginative. And I feel like it also sort of keeps that kind of material from being considered more seriously by people who are not dazzled by these things. They're actually mature people. And it's said, the male proportions, the muscles, and all these things that you see on all these characters are also unrealistic in the same way. I just don't know if it really has the same sort of diminishing effect, I guess, or objectification. So there's that, the flawless, perfect heroes and the oversexed females are two images that I have seen my whole life, and I think it really should be put to rest so that we can move forward.
I would definitely love to see a piece of work like that.
Did you see somebody, I guess about a year ago, they did all these, they redesigned every major female superhero's costume?
Yeah, I did see some of that.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah,
I really
Wonder
liked
Woman
it.
with pants is an okay thing.
I was
It
totally
really
okay
is.
with it.
Yeah. So maybe, maybe in time we'll see more interesting images.
The future is unknowable. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I lost my question. Okay, so who is your favorite visual artist or favorite style of art?
Well, we've been I've mentioned comic books many times, and I would say that popular art, pop artists, comic book style stuff, rock poster art, things like that are the things that I gravitate to more so than more classical forms of art, the classical painters and things like that. So I think kind of a pop art guy, at my core.
Do you have a particular illustrator that you follow their work?
Well, George Perez, who's been working in comics for a million years, was probably the first artist that I really latched onto.
Okay.
When I was like maybe, I guess, an adolescent, early teenager. And I've followed his art pretty much throughout his career. So I'm a big fan of George Perez. And then to do something that's completely different, there's a guy by the name of Matt Feazell, and he's been doing stick figure comics for 25 years.
Okay.
He has a main character called the Amazing Cynical Man, who is a superhero who is too cynical to do anything. And all his friends are losers. They're all like has-been superheroes. And he's a professional illustrator, but he does these stick figures that are far and above what you would consider a normal stick figure. He gets a lot out of it. And he's been doing it for a long time, independently the whole time, although he has been published by some major people. He has fan clubs all around the world.
Okay.
And he even did a movie, very low budget, but they did a movie. And so he's someone, I like people that are on the fringe.
Yeah.
I find them a lot more interesting than those that have been sort of anointed
Okay.
as being great artists.
Me too.
Yeah.
So, how has your knowledge of artworks influenced your creative process?
Okay. Um, well, we'll talk about writing. All right. So, um, been an avid reader my whole life, and I was an English major in undergrad, so I've read all the classics and I've done all that stuff. And one of the things that they teach you when you study literature is that literature is a part of sort of the longest conversation that's ever happened. All writers draw upon what was written before them, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, whether it is intentional or unintentional. All writers are borrowing from the tradition and are either commenting upon it, working within it, or trying to stand apart from it. But there's no way that you can't be responding to it. And I think it's true for people who write movies or TV shows or any of that, is that you are sort of chained to the history in a way. And that's why when the occasional student will tell me that they have never read the classics, they don't like reading the old stuff or things like that, I go into a closet and bite my fist and scream a little bit, because how can you write if you don't know, if you haven't read what's been written before? So particular books, because you did say if there were any particular artworks, right? I think that my poetry and my short pieces are most influenced by Bukowski and the Beats. I like to try to make things very stark and simple. I don't write any kind of, floral, curvy kind of stuff. With the writing, I'm most influenced by, which anyone who would buy my book would find out, like Douglas Adams.
Oh my
And
gosh. One of my favorites.
okay, good. Science fiction, satire, humor type people. So Douglas Adams would be one. Alan Dean Foster is another influence, and Philip K. Dick as
Another
well.
one. It is very good.
So I'd like to think that I got a little bit of all those guys in my own way
I
in
can't
there.
wait to find out.
Yeah. I hope you still want to talk to me after chapter, I think it's chapter 10.
Okay.
Chapter 10's pretty rough.
I'll brace myself for it.
Okay.
Then, last question. If there's any piece of advice that you could give to all the writers as a whole,
Uh-huh. Wow. Okay.
what would it be?
Well, I guess it sounds trite, but persistence trumps talent every time. And literature, publishing, writing, all these people that have been successful in the field, almost all of them have stories of being rejected hundreds, thousands of times before things took off for them. It's really easy in the face of all that to kind of want to give up and do something else. It doesn't feel good to hear no, and to hear no a lot. It makes you sort of question what you're doing and your talent, things like that. But I will tell you that persistence trumps talent. So now that you're on this path, you just really do have to commit all the way. And I think that if you hang in there long enough, something good is bound to happen. So that would be my big piece of advice. Stick with it.
Again, Tom Lucas, author of Letter to the Corinthians. Can't wait to read it.
All right.
And our instructor here at Full Sail University.
Indeed.
Thank you for your
Indeed.
time.
Thank you.